So Mike, you haven't been in your role long, so talk about some of the things you thought you're taking on this new job. Talk about some of the challenges that were presented to you very early on.
Well, first of all, there was a great foundation as I arrived on the scene. And the big challenge is that the nature of what you and I do every day is changing. And the communications world is much different than what we faced 15, 20 years ago as we got into this business. On top of that, in part because of the changes in communication, the world is also much more contentious. And so the challenges of managing issues is much more complex, to the point that oftentimes the challenge that we're finding or dealing with doesn't begin with us. It starts somewhere else down the supply chain. And in order to manage all of those challenges, whether it's palm oil or it's soy or it's some other commodity, companies like ours are having to step back and say, you know, we need to think about more than just where is this all coming from. We need to think about pulling our customers in, having real conversations with NGOs and public policymakers in a way that moves us beyond just a simple dialogue, but actually identifying shared beliefs among all the various parties, ultimately sitting down and having a conversation where you build trust, and then from that, activating a process by which at the end of the day, you're able to produce that product sustainably, and you're able to engage all of these people, not as just an audience, but really getting to them in a way in which they become partners. And I think that that's vital to even what you're trying to do at Southwest.
Absolutely. And the way you immediately came in and started meeting with those NGOs. So that was something that hadn't been done in your organization before.
Well, you know, people had had conversations with NGOs. I think that what was a little different about what Mark Murphy and others in my organization did with me is that we literally went out to some of the groups that were the most contentious in order to better have an understanding about where they stood, and also to demystify actually what we do and what we're all about. And I think that that's maybe the secret sauce of all of this. You know, when we start talking about shared belief, when we talk about what companies should be doing in the communications function, it's moving from simply pushing out information, moving from having the occasional dialogue to saying, how do we get everybody on the same side of the table so that we better understand each other? Because at the end of the day, communications isn't about information, it's about being understood.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things we've done, because my talk was really, as you know, more about what we're doing to engage with our employees and how they truly do drive our brand. So several years ago, we started an internal blog, and I know it made some of our executives kind of nervous because we put up a news story and employees can begin to comment on it, comment on about a change that's occurring in the company. So I just encourage all of the communicators to have courage, and there are lots of examples to draw from yours and working with NGOs. I know both of us would be glad to talk to folks about what we've been able to do in our organizations to either work with NGOs, work with our employees in creating that shared belief.